morning. This is the latest on the driveway. You can see my trailer's still not moved. But if you're watching this, you're probably wondering why slag is so much better than gravel. Or really, any kind of gravel, in my opinion. I've lived here for going on, 10 years this year. And I have all kinds of different gravel here. And if I would have known what I know now, I would have went with slag a long time ago. And also, don't grade at night. I did that. Broke my own rule. It doesn't look too terrible. So, yesterday, I got 3 loads of bigger slag, and use that for my base, which is this stuff right here. So I got 1 load what's called 2s. Now this doesn't really make a whole lot of sense, but 2s is your bigger stuff right here, and then 4s is this stuff right here. Personally, I kind of like 4s a little bit better. It's easier to move around with the skid steer. But if you're in a really swampy area, 2s is pretty good too. But when you get slag, you're gonna get a lot of junk mixed in with it. Number one, you gotta live close to a steel plant. I'm close to Cleveland Cliffs, somewhat close. But you're gonna get like a lot of random scrap metal in here. And you usually get that in with the bigger stuff. And you're really not gonna get that in with the fine material. But what I do, I take this bigger stuff and I put it down as my base. And I extended this. This side's not as wide as the other side. I extended this about 12 foot on this end. And over there, it's extended, probably about 15 foot. Could have made my edge a little straighter. But I still got to put the fine stuff over it. And I want to show you why I go with slag versus anything else. I mean, I love slag. Years ago, when I moved here, I went with 304 and crushed recycled concrete. And I bought it from several different places, and also went with 57s. So here's my recycled concrete. So on this end of the barn, I put recycled concrete, and over time, it grinds down from just weight. It just grinds down to this nasty muck, like mud. And then you get grass growing in it. You're basically, in my opinion, it's like putting dirt over top of dirt. I do not like the stuff at all. And you live and learn. If I would have known what I know now, I would have went with just slag. Now, this area isn't too bad. This is recycled concrete, but I also don't drive over this spot every day. I usually park stuff here and there. But this, see, you get grass growing in it. And when you have a good sized driveway, I mean, you start using up a lot of weed killer, and I hate grass growing in it. I mean, it's right here, more grass growing. By the time spring hits, that stuff's gonna take off. So I switched to slag. And why I did that, which I still have a ton of slag I gotta put in over here. I want to show you the finer stuff. finer stuff is this stuff right here. Now this isn't graded out or anything yet. I just was screwing around yesterday trying to figure out what I got. This is like a fine powder. I mean, it's nice. And the way this slag here works, so these edges here, I still gotta clean all this up with a rake. And well, anyways, I'm getting off topic here. The way this works, the second that stuff starts getting wet, it's almost like buying a bag of concrete and throwing it outside when it goes to rain. That stuff gets hard as a rock. I never did fix my roof. That's on my list. I've been sick, by the way. 3 emergency room visits in 3 weeks. It's unreal. Never had to do that before in my life. But right here, that's what it turns into. I mean, it is hard as a rock. So I can drive my semis over that. Doesn't sink down or nothing. And the plan here is I have to get all that back there topped with the fine stuff. So I've put the bigger stuff in first as my base. And then I put the fine stuff over it. And it like locks in like concrete. The fines fall in between the big stuff and just locks in and holds. At some point, I gotta put some pipe in right through there. And I'm gonna extend my driveway over so I have more room to get in around my trucks. Dude, it's a constant battle around here. It's a constant battle of just constantly moving stuff, trying to make room. I'm beyond out of room in my barn, like 100% out of room. I've not worked on anything, one, because I've been really sick. Had a flu, double ear infection. I thought I had kidney stones, but turns out it's my lower back again with my discs in my back where I cough so much that they're all out of whack. But I stopped working on stuff in the barn. I got a shipping container coming, which I'm putting right there, 40 footer. Everything that does not need to be in my barn, which is just random junk, not worth anything. It's just stuff that's handy to have when I need it. It's going out there, and I have some more room until I can get another barn built out back there, which I think I've talked about before. It's on the list, so it's gonna be a little while, because really I wanted to get all this organized before that time comes. You can hang with me today, and we're gonna go get some slag. I don't know how many loads I'm gonna get in. I'm guessing I'm probably gonna get 3 or 4 loads today. Let's see how far that gets me. Get it spread out. Try to get it before the rain Friday. If I can get this done before Friday, it'd be great. I don't have to mess with it again for a while. But you can just hang with me and see how far we get today. People say it's really dusty They don't want the dust, and that's why they don't go in. It's only dusty when you first get it. After 1 or 2 rains, you're not gonna have much dust. Even when it dries out in the summertime, most of the fine dust is gone. So that's one thing. Asphalt millings is another thing I ran. I have another place, and I hauled in, I think right around 1,200 tons, and it was mostly slag, but I did run some asphalt millings because I had some really close by and it worked out. I like asphalt millings, and it can reheat and pack down, but with running the fine slag, it's a lot better in my opinion, because it's more fine. So when it packs down and hardens back up, you're not going to have any grass at all grow up through it. And even with asphalt millings, you might, if you go really thick with it, you might not have any grass come up, but you're going to have a lot better chance of the slag with no grass coming up. Price difference, slag is very cheap depending on where you're at. If you're close to a steel plant, it's a lot cheaper. The issue is getting the slag. It's very hard on your truck when you go back there to get the slag. There is, it's really rough environment. It's hard on the truck, and slag is just a byproduct of making steel. So they're not too concerned about selling it. They're more worried about their production. So when you go there, honest truth, it takes on average probably about 40 minutes to get loaded. And it could be, I've been there for an hour and 45 minutes to get one load. And to me, that's just crazy. So yeah, it can be cheap if you're going and getting it yourself and you got the time to wait, but you got your time, your fuel, and the wear and tear of your truck. That's the downside to it, in my opinion. But I live about a half hour from the plant, so I can get about 3, maybe 4 trips in a day with the amount of times involved. Slag, it's very low maintenance. Once you put it down, you really don't have to mess with it. You can run a whole lot of heavy stuff over it. My skid steer, it's a John Deere 333. It's a very heavy skid steer, and I can twist and turn over top of the slag this time of the year, and it might slightly skin the top of the slag up, and I can back drag my bucket and then run over a few times and it gets hard again. If I did that over top of crushed concrete, it would sink right down to the mud, just make nothing but a mess. Slag's just way more durable. And I think people is giving a bad rep because of the dust issue. I don't ever have dust out of mine. I mean, I really like the slag. Typical day here. Went to go get my slag. By the way, we're like a week later than what you just seen. I sat there for 2.5 hours, never got loaded, and I said, the heck with it, I'm out. Left, waited about 5 days, went back. I guess I did get some 4s. I can't remember if I showed that or not. I got some bigger stuff, got it all spread out, and I went back for the fines, which is this stuff here. Start topping it. Got one load finally, and backed up, raised the bed, dumped out, and all of a sudden the bed come crashing down like really fast. Hydraulic fluid flying everywhere and busted a line, so had to get that fixed last night. And now I'm getting ready to go get hydraulic fluid, get topped off, maybe get more slag. Hopefully, you know, today's not like a Monday like yesterday, because yesterday was Monday. Hopefully be a regular week, I can get some slag. But this is what we got. Old hydraulic line, busted off. New one up there, tied up. And dump bed leaning because we had to use skid steer to get halfway up so we can get the line off. But yeah, I'm gonna go get some hydraulic fluid and hopefully have a better day. doesn't come undone and get me while I'm standing here, but I'm probably just going to leave this bed up for a while. That middle is that's been stuck there for a while. It's got some concrete in it. I gotta get in there and check him that stuff out sometime. Some of that's ice. So I'm gonna leave the bed up for a while and hopefully that'll come out. not super far. There's a lot of spots that I'm gonna go back through and clean up when I get some more loads to sprinkle in the lighter spots. Obviously get in that corner, get that all straightened up, and then the edges. But these spots here, especially towards this end, go back over it. It's kind of nice. Get a few days to settle. Get a little sprinkle or a little bit of snow. Some water in that. It'll settle a little better. Still got to get up in there, up around that barn, and I got my shipping container. Got the barn pretty well cleaned up. It's looking pretty good. Probably top a lot of this stuff right here too. Slag, it's heavy. It really doesn't go that far. It's really heavy. It's good stuff though. I should have done this a long time ago. Up around the building, I take an asphalt rake, clean up the edges. Gotta sprinkle a little bit in here too. A little layer at a time. Getting some quotes on a barn out back and kind of change the design a little bit. We will see what happens with that. I'm just really running out of room in my current barn. Here's what I got. I was able to get some slag. I think I got 2 more loads. I was able to put it up against the back of the barn. I got this coned off section. This is coned off that way. I'm gonna drop probably 2 more piles right here, and that ought to do it, because this is 617 slag that was put here a couple years ago, and really needs some fines dusted in on top of that to really lock it in. Was able to clean up this edge. But yeah, all this will be topped with the fines. Stuff right here look pretty good. I gotta raise this container up a little bit more on the other side again. It's settled some. But yeah, got the glue truck and trailer moved finally. I need to get some jacks and put under it so I can unhook the trailer. I did unhook some of the wiring off of it. That wasn't draw anything off the batteries. It's been so cold. I think it turned out all right. Not too bad. Probably, realistically, I'll probably get another load of fines and just kind of top through here in a few spots. But I don't need to do it anytime soon. You know, whatever's left, I'll try to clean up that edge a little bit more. But that's what I got. And probably won't see too many more videos on the slag, at least for a while. Should have really done one on that place I did. It was like 1,200 ton, the other place. But that's a thing, my personal house gets pushed off the last. This front side, I've done this last year, and it turned out really nice. I mean, it's hard. Packed very well. And drive semis over this and doesn't sink or anything. Right there, here's a couple little spots here. That's where I pressure washed my truck out here. It just compacts so well. So if you live by a steel plant, I'd look in and get some slag. That stuff It is awesome. I absolutely love it. I'll never buy gravel again. The only other downside is you cannot build on top of slag. Can't put asphalt, concrete, stuff like that. It will destroy it. It'll crack and bust. So I'm not doing any of that here. Slag's good enough for me. I'm just really happy with how this is turning out. Probably do a little bit over there, get the edge cleaned up, but man, a lot of progress.